All right, so week 13 of the NFL season is coming to a close, and for the Chicago Bears, they take, yet again, another embarrassing loss to the Arizona Cardinals. As always, I'm going to recap what I saw during this game, grades, offense, defense, special teams, and yeah, let's get into it. What's up, guys? KT here, back at it with another video, back at it with another game recap video. The Bears got whooped against the Cardinals in a game that was not even close. In terms of box score numbers, maybe, but this game wasn't close. It was over probably midway third quarter. I'm not going to take too much of your time because there's really not much to talk about. So let's get started with the offense first. Total yards for them, they had 329 total yards, 217 passing yards, 112 rushing yards, 26 first downs, 6 penalties, and 4 turnovers. They gave up 3 sacks. Starting with Andy Dalton, it just wasn't a good game for him. He went 26 of 41, 229 yards. He averaged 8 yards per throw, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That really killed the Bears this game. He took 3 sacks and he had a quarterback rating of 54.9. Andy Dalton did not play well against the Cardinals, and overall, I know people were saying during the past few weeks that, Andy Dalton gives us a better chance to win. At the beginning of the season, the Bears, when they signed Andy Dalton, said they thought they could win 10 games with him this season. That clearly has not been the case. Obviously, he is not the better option for this team, especially on offense. I'm just telling you, there's very little to like about how Andy Dalton played on Sunday. It's not all his fault, because some of the decisions they put him in, some of the situations they put him in are just wrong. The Bears, there was one play in that game where he got sacked by Jordan Hicks on a free. Jordan Hicks had a free hit on the quarterback. Dalton got hit, and he hurt his shoulder, I think. I think it was his shoulder because he came up limping a little bit. His arm seemed a little bit limp. But the Bears get ready to punt, right? Somebody, I can't remember the dude's name on the Cardinals, he ran into the kicker, roughing the kicker call. They get an automatic first down. The first play the Bears come out and do is they run a play action, roll out with Andy Dalton. Ball gets tipped, it's intercepted. Regardless if that ball had been tipped, he was throwing in a triple coverage anyway. It's just Dalton's decision-making sometimes as well is not good. He was throwing in the triple coverage. There were a lot more balls that could have been picked. So he didn't have a good game. And really, the people that think that he gives them a better chance to win other than Fields, you're not being real with yourself. He's not the future of this team. As I've said before, Justin Fields is the one you should be building the team around, not Andy Dalton. Moving on. Rushing yards, again, I just don't understand. David Montgomery is an absolute monster. The Cardinals could not stop him. But they only gave him the ball 21 times. He had 90 yards. He averaged 4.3 yards per carry. He had 1 touchdown. He also was a big factor in the receiving game. But I don't understand. David Montgomery is a 1,000-yard rusher. Top 10 running back in the league. Why when he breaks off like a big run, he can break off a run for like 12, maybe even 20 yards. He's just that good. And then you take him out and then you run play action with Khalil Herbert in the backfield. I don't get it. Your running back, he's a bell cow running back. You keep giving him the ball when he's hot. You don't take him out when he's hot. You don't use him in play action when he's hot, at least in opportune times. You use play action when you're trying to set up something. But usually, this team, especially on Sunday when the conditions were bad, it was raining, the field was wet, the ball was wet, you should be just pounding the ball. And they did that somewhat. But again, it just feels like they don't do it to score, they just do it just to do it. I didn't see David Montgomery the entire second half. That's just me. They didn't really use him the entire second half, at least in the running game. So, rushing overall, it was okay. I don't blame David for that. He doesn't get a chance to show his talents. Receiving, I'm going to keep it quick. Jakeem Grant, he led the team in receiving. Yes, that same Jakeem Grant that's on special teams. He had 7 targets, 5 receptions, 62 yards, 12.4 yards average. He had 1 touchdown, but that came in garbage time. So really, David Montgomery was the leading receiver on this team. Yeah, your running back was the leading receiver on this team. He had 51 yards. He had 8 receptions. He had 9 targets. But the Bears couldn't get no separation. Darnell Mooney was basically it's like he didn't even play on Sunday. Cole Kmet, he still has his moments struggling. He's still dropping passes. He's not catching the passes that he's supposed to be. And you know what? He's going to get blamed for most of the Bears' struggles on Sunday, but it's not his fault. They rarely use Cole Kmet in certain situations, and when he gets a chance to play, his flaws get exposed more than the things he does well. Overall, receiving didn't have that much of an impact. The Bears just didn't play well on offense at all. They scored 14 points. Take away that garbage time touchdown. They scored 14 points, and they turned the ball over 4 times. 4 of those were all on Dalton. Maybe, you can make an argument for the second interception he threw when, Cole Kmet couldn't catch, and he just basically gave the ball to Budda Baker, but still. 4 interceptions, you're not going to win many games when you turn the ball over. So, an F for the offense. Again, this is like the second straight week they've had an F, third straight week, actually. So, at this point, I don't know where you go from here on offense, but they need to figure out something in the future. Defense, I'll keep it quick, not much to talk about. They couldn't stop Kyler Murray if their lives depended on it. And no disrespect to the Bears defense, but Kyler Murray, he's just that good. He's just that good. He was playing, this is his first game off of injury. I think he had an ankle injury. It didn't seem like it bothered him at all. He was still mobile, still shifty. I said in the prediction video that once he gets in the open field, he's basically impossible to stop. One honorable mention, Roquan Smith, pay the man. Point blank, period. There's not a linebacker in the world that can chase down Kyler Murray like Roquan did early in that game. Roquan, he had 8 total tackles, 4 solo tackles, 1 tackle for loss. But overall, defense, he was the only one on defense that really showed up. There were no sacks of Kyler Murray, none. So that was a big issue. But they couldn't contain him. They didn't contain Kyler Murray well at all. I don't know what Sean Desai was doing. Robert Quinn really wasn't rushing the passer like that. He was more in pass coverage. So I don't know. I feel like the defense that they played on Sunday was more of a coordinator failure than a player failure, even though, I think everybody knew the game was over once Xavier Crawford missed a tackle on James Conner. Really, the Bears just got outplayed by that dynamic Cardinals offense. They're probably the best team in the league right now. So really not much the defense can do, especially when your offense gets out there and score 14 points. So for that reason, I might have to give them, let's say a D. There's only so much you can do against one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. So a D for the defense. Special teams, they didn't really play a factor. So I'll give them what can I give them? An incomplete grade. But they didn't really have much to do with this game. A couple extra points, they didn't really play much of a factor. So just moving on. Play calling, coaching. Again, this really doesn't change much from what I was thinking last week. If it hasn't showed itself then, it definitely shows itself now that Matt Nagy still needs to go. His offense can still not score more than 14 points a game. And they're basically averaging what a mid-tier NBA player would on a season as far as scoring. They're averaging 16 points a game. You're not going to win many games when you average 16 points a game. Play calling is still a big issue. The one play that really bothered me was it's 1 minute left in the half. It's 4th and 2. Instead of going for it, you can here's what I'm trying to say. When you're lining up to go for it, try to get them to draw offsides. That's the first key. But once it gets down to 2-3 seconds and you're not going for it, call a timeout. Don't take the delay of game. But really what bothered me is that they took the delay of game and it really seemed like they had no intention of going for it at all. You were down, 21-0, 14-0. At this point, what do you have to lose? you just go for it. Call the timeout. Think about it. Draw up a play. If you don't trust Andy Dalton to throw the ball, give it to your running back. It's just that simple. They should have went for it there. That was one of the key parts of the game. Another one was a couple third down screen calls that made absolutely no sense. One of them ended up in a turnover for Dalton, and one of them just, like I said, didn't make sense. You still get into the red zone. You still don't get no points. Andy Dalton, I guess why they don't be more aggressive with Andy Dalton in the red zone is because he's already thrown red zone interceptions, but then you just run the ball. When you're in the red zone, the main point is when you're in the red zone, you start with running the ball first. Remember, the defense has a lot less ground to cover in the red zone, so if you get into that pass-happy offense in the red zone, yeah, you're going to turn the ball over. Dalton is not that quarterback he used to be where he had zip on his throws. They float in the air too long, and when you get into the red zone, you have to be able to fit balls in tight spaces. And you know what? I guess the Bears, or especially Matt Nagy, doesn't trust Dalton to make these throws. But you know what? You brought him here. That's on you. If you don't trust him to make these throws, then why did you bring him here? This is 4 years now, like I said before, of incompetent offense. So he still needs to be gone. Sean Desai, he automatically gets an F because his defense is not very good. So overall, the Bears play calling gets an F. Not much to say in that regard. That's basically it. I mean, I can't really find anything else to recap. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you comment on the video. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I drop one of these videos. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, and I'm out. Peace.